You sweep your kitchen floor until it's clean. Within the hour, a film of grit buries every surface again. Your plates, your children's bedding, the insides of their lungs. This is the Dust Bowl Plains, 1934. No topsoil left to plant in, and no relief coming. Rainfall has dropped below 5 inches. Your well has fallen 30 feet. Your family survives on 5 gallons of drinking water a day. The land your parents broke open is now breaking you. This is what one day inside that collapse actually demanded. You sweep the floor until your arms ache, but the dust always returns. It sifts through every crack, floating in on the wind, settling in a fine gray layer that coats the kitchen table, the plates, the rim of every drinking glass. Even the bread you set out to cool carries a faint crunch between your teeth, a taste of earth that never leaves your tongue. By the time you finish wiping the oilcloth, a fresh film dulls the shine, and the broom raises more dust than it captures. Your children cough in their beds, their faces turned to the wall. You tuck a damp cloth under the door and press wet rags against the window frames, hoping to slow the invasion. The air smells sour from the wet sheets and faintly metallic from the oil. You rub along the sills. Still, the dust finds its way in. It settles in the folds of your dress, in your hair, in the lines of your hands. Every morning begins with the scrape of a broom and ends with the same. You watch your youngest rub her eyes raw, blinking against the grit that stings and burns. At night, the beds feel rough, the linens heavy with silt. You shake out the blankets, but the cloud that rises only drifts back down. The floorboards creak under the weight of dust that returns within an hour of cleaning. In the pantry, the jars wear a gray veil. Even the Bible on the shelf collects a layer, its pages gritting together when you turn them. Photographs taken by Dorothea Lange and others capture these rooms, tables, and beds blanketed in ash. Families huddled in the half-light, faces drawn and tired. The camera does not exaggerate. It cannot. The dust is everywhere, and it never lets you forget that the house is losing its battle. Your only defense is ritual. Sweep, wipe, cover, repeat. But the storm always wins. Each breath, each meal, each night's sleep is shared with the land that once fed you, now broken and blowing through the walls. Before sunrise, the only sound is the bucket clanging against the wellhead. Water is the day's first calculation. The rope drops deeper each year, 30, sometimes 40 feet, before it finds water. The bucket comes up heavy, sometimes muddy, always precious. You haul it hand over hand, arms shaking, shoulders sore. The math is unforgiving. 5 gallons for drinking, 10 for washing, 15 for livestock, no more. Each trip to the well is a loss of time you cannot spare. If your well runs dry, the walk to a neighbor's deeper well takes 4 hours, the bucket swinging, the silence stretching between you and your eldest daughter. Hands wrapped in cloth, you trade turns, palms raw from the rope. Every step is measured against the weight you will carry home. Water is rationed with care. Drinking is measured in tin cups, no second helpings, no spills. Washing is for hands and faces, the rest waits for rain. Clothes are scrubbed in the gray water left from dishes, then dried stiff on the line. Bathing is rare, the water browned before the first child is clean. The youngest and the sick get what is left, always with the worry that tomorrow's bucket will come up empty. The burden falls on women and children. You keep the water ledger in your mind, counting every ladle, every mouthful. When the men are gone to the fields or searching for work, it is you and your daughters who haul the buckets, who decide whether the cow drinks or the garden gets a chance. Each choice is a quiet defeat. You feel it in your back, in the ache of your hands, in the way your children's faces fall when you say there is not enough for a bath tonight. The arithmetic of water is never fair. It shapes the day, the body, and the hope that the well will last until morning. Before the wind rises, you ready the house as best you can. Each window is checked, every door pressed shut. You and your husband work in tandem, moving with a quiet urgency that comes from practice and the knowledge that nothing will truly hold. You dip old sheets in the last of the washing water and drape them over sills and frames, feeling the cold weight of the cloth as you smooth it into place. Damp rags are stuffed into the cracks beneath doors, and you smear a thin line of oil along the window ledges, hoping the stickiness will clog the smallest gaps. In the corners where the walls have begun to split, you knead mud with your hands, packing it tight and smoothing it flat, leaving your palms caked and your nails rimmed with clay. The house smells of wet fabric and linseed oil, sharp and sour, mixing with the ever-present tang of dust. You move from room to room, checking each barrier, your children trailing behind, handing you rags, and watching your face for signs of worry. Every step stirs a faint cloud from the floorboards. You hear the wind begin to whistle at the eaves, a thin sound that grows louder as the light outside dims to brown. These defenses buy you only hours. The oil on the sills leaves a stain on your sleeves. The mud cracks and flakes away when the boards shift, and the wet sheets dry stiff in the heat. Still, you repeat the ritual because to do nothing is to surrender. The storm always finds its way in, but for a little while, you can pretend the house is sealed tight, the world outside held at bay by your hands and your labor. The children help press towels against the door, and for a moment, you are a family working together against the wind, inventing hope out of damp cloth and stubbornness. But as the first real gust rattles the glass, you know the dust will come. You wake in the dark, lungs raw from the night. The coughing never truly stops. Your own, your husband's, but worst of all, the children. Their faces are pale and streaked with dust, lips cracked, eyes red from the constant irritation. Each breath rasps in your throat, the air thick and heavy with silt. The house is quiet except for the hacking, a sound that echoes in every room, as if the storm has taken up residence inside your bodies. You listen for the shallow, wheezing breaths of your youngest, and count the seconds between coughs, fearing the silence more than the noise. By spring of 1935, the local doctor's register lists 124 cases of dust-induced pneumonia in a single month. The county nurse, herself exhausted, visits with a jar of menthol and a warning: keep the children inside, rinse their eyes with boiled water, and pray for rain. You do what you can, propping damp cloths over their mouths at night, boiling water for steam, spooning out honey if you have it. The relief is fleeting. The dust settles in their lungs and throats, grinding away at the body's defenses. Hospitals in the next town are overrun. Beds meant for accident victims now hold farm children gasping for air, their mothers wiping grit from their lips with calloused hands. The county health officer's reports show a 250% rise in pneumonia admissions between March and June. Some families lose 2, even 3 children before the summer ends. You hear of neighbors who bury their dead in the same fields that once promised a future. Hygiene collapses as water grows scarce. You ration every cup, but grit still collects in hair, under fingernails, in the folds of skin. Washing is a ritual of futility. No sooner are faces wiped clean than another storm grinds dust into every pore. You watch your own hands grow red and cracked, the skin splitting along the knuckles, stinging with each new chore. At night, you sit by the bed, a night nurse with no medicine, listening to the wind and the coughs, knowing that the dust has claimed more than your land. It has entered your bodies, and no barrier can keep it out. You stand at the stove, staring into a pot that offers little comfort. The shelves in your cellar, once lined with jars of beans and rows of potatoes, now hold only a few dusty remnants. Where you once pulled 22 bushels of wheat from an acre, you now gather 3, if you are lucky. The math is plain, an 86% drop in yield, and no seed left for another try. You stretch what is left, beans boiled thin, a heel of bread, a spoon of lard melted into weak cornmeal mush. Each meal grows smaller, the calories counted and recounted. Some days, your family scrapes by and barely 1,300 calories per adult, less for the children. You watch your son's face as he pushes aside a plate of boiled turnips, too tired to argue, too hungry to waste a bite. Hunger shows itself in slow movements, in the way your youngest naps at the table, in the hollow look that settles behind your husband's eyes. The garden, choked by dust, gives nothing now. Milk sours before noon, eggs are rare. The monotony of beans and bread fills your stomach but leaves your body weak. Each day you wonder how long you can keep rationing, how long before the cellar is empty and the fields offer nothing but grit. Your fingers trace the numbers in the ledger, red ink bleeding through the paper. The cost of seed has climbed from $1.20 to $1.85 a pound, a 54% jump in just 3 years. You remember when a sack of wheat seed felt like an investment in the future. Now it feels like a wager you can't afford. The bank's interest rate sits at 9%, nearly double what it was before the drought, and every month you fall further behind. 38% of the farms in your county are in arrears. You know the names behind those numbers. Some are neighbors who have already lost their land. Some are family. You read the foreclosure notice twice, the words blurring at the edges. Your land, once valued at $375 an acre, is now worth $125. 2/3 of its value is gone, blown away with the topsoil. There is no buyer for dust. Selling out won't clear the debt, and holding on means deeper losses. The arithmetic is plain. The price of survival rises, the worth of what you own falls. Every decision is a trap. Plant more and risk losing the seed. Plant less and the bank circles closer. The cost of hope itself has become unbearable. You sit at the table, the paper cold in your hands, and realize that even if the rain returned tomorrow, the numbers would not. The land no longer guarantees your future. The only thing left to sell is what breathes and moves in the barn. The thought settles over you, heavy as the dust that coats your boots, as you weigh which losses you can live with and which you cannot. Before sunrise, the barn is already alive with the sound of coughing cattle. The air is thick, the straw damp beneath your boots. A calf stands trembling, its value fallen from $20 to $8, its ribs showing through a coat dulled by dust. The mental ledger grows heavier. 62% of families nearby have sold or slaughtered part of their herd. Each transaction chips away at what little security remains. The barn, once a symbol of hope, now feels hollow. The stalls filled with animals too weak to promise a future. Your hand traces the outline of a cow's bones beneath her hide. The water trough is cloudy. The animals drink anyway, desperate for relief. Respiratory illness among cattle has surged 600% since the storms began. Every loss is more than a number. It is a private ache that settles deep in the chest. You work 6 hours each day, sweeping, shoveling, scrubbing, tending to animals that grow weaker as the storms drag on. Your hands crack, your dress stiffens with sweat and dust. With 38% of schools closed, children work beside you, hauling water, feeding stock, wiping dust from a sick calf's eyes. When you say goodbye to an animal, it is quiet, a hand on the neck, a whispered apology. Each cull, each sail, is another piece of the family's future slipping away. You load the truck in the half-light, hands numb from the night air, heart heavy with the knowledge that this is all that's left. Mattresses lashed to the roof, crates of jars rattling in the bed. A battered chicken coop wedged between a rusted plow and a barrel of muddy water. You count heads, 6 to a truck, sometimes 7 if the neighbor's baby rides on a lap. The engine coughs, backfires, then settles into a growl. You pull away from the house, tires sinking in soft dust, the porch shrinking in the rear window until it disappears. The convoy forms on the county road, 27 families, each truck sagging under the weight of lives uprooted. Bundles of bedding, sacks of flour, a milk cow roped to the tailgate, calves bawling at every stop. The first day brings hope, but the road is rough, rutted, and every jolt threatens to scatter what little you have left. 12 days west, each mile a wager against breakdowns and empty tanks. You ration water for the radiator, for the children, for the dog panting in the bed. At night, you camp beside the road, the smell of oil and sweat mixing with frying onions and the faint sweetness of dust. You listen for Guthrie's voice on the radio, where the wind blows black as night. Words that echo your own journey. Not every town welcomes you. 15% turn you away at the edge, deputies waving you on. Signs warning, no relief here. You drive on, headlights cutting through the dark. The road ahead uncertain. The past erased behind a veil of dust. Relief comes in fragments. A church basement becomes a soup kitchen, the line stretching out the door. You stand with your children, bowls ready, hoping for bread to go with the thin stew. In March, charity kitchens serve more than 25,000 meals across the counties. Each meal is a pause in hunger, not a solution. You eat quickly, knowing others wait behind you, and step back into the wind. Beyond town, men in civilian conservation corps uniforms plant rows of saplings. Their shovels break the dry earth, hands tamping roots, battered pails sloshing water over each seedling. These shelter belts, lines of young trees, stretch for miles. Where the trees take hold, the wind slows. In counties with shelter belts, wind speeds drop by 15 to 20%. Dust settles faster, and for the first time in years, field edges hold after a storm. At the migrant camp, order replaces chaos. The camp manager, clipboard in hand, calls your name and shows you to a canvas tent. He explains the rules: no drinking, no fighting, chores each morning. There are shared kitchens, a school tent, and a nurse who visits twice a week. The Arvin camp, built for 1,200 families, becomes a city of canvas and hope. You sweep your floor, line up for meals, and sleep knowing the night will pass quietly. The relief is imperfect, but for now, it is enough to restore a sense of dignity. You breathe in, and the air still carries memory of grit, of thirst, of lives unsettled by dirt stripped from the land. Today, climate extremes threaten water, food, and home for millions, not just on the plains. When the ground beneath you fails, only community and adaptation stand between survival and loss. What would you do if the wind rose again?